The Geeking Poetic podcast starts now.
Funky up in the house, getting all funky up in here. Man, feels like we haven't heard that in a while.
It's been eons.
Every time.
Stop making promises, dude.
Yeah, I know. Every time I'm like, yeah, we're getting things back on schedule and, we'll see you back in a few weeks. And then like 6 weeks.
Life happens.
Yeah, exactly. Life does happen. What's going on at home to everybody out there? We are Geeking Poetic Podcast. I'm your host, Larry Roberts. This one over here, yes, it is like almost 90 degrees out, but she's still cold.
Because we're in my cold basement.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It is fairly chilly down here, but she's bundled up across from me in a hoodie and everything, and it is none other than
Megan Guess.
And what are we here to do?
We are here for a Squadcast.
Yeah. Again, like we said, it's been a while since we've done one of the Geeking Squadcast podcasts, but we love doing these. We actually have a lot of fun when we do these because, for one thing, we don't have to be on camera, which is great.
Yeah, that's nice.
Because
you don't want us on camera right now.
No, because we are just our sloppy selves right now.
Messes.
Yeah. Well, that's what this weather will do to us.
Yeah.
But, so for those that may be tuning in for the first time, what we talk about here on the Squadcast is just everything that is going on that we care about in pop culture lately. So it could be things from movies, TV, music, comics, toys, all that stuff, science, cool, nerdy science and outer space stuff, archaeological kind of stuff, anything like that we get into. And we share this along with a lot of our other friends and listeners in a group on Facebook called the Geeking Squad group. You can go and join it right now if you want to. It's free and open for anybody to join as long as you are not a doo-doo head. Because
no politics, no religion.
Nope, we don't.
None of that crap. We're there to have a good time and forget about this crappy world.
Yeah, at least for, a little bit.
Right.
We can forget about it, put it aside. And we've got a lot of really cool stuff to talk about because we haven't done anything since, what was that, like early May, I guess it was.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of really good stuff to talk about here. So let's not waste any more time, and let's just get right into it. It's time for me to do one of Meg's favorite parts when I hit this button here and we play the intro for the next section, which is...
What's shaking, bacon?
It never gets old.
It's still shaking.
Yeah, we are going into the What's Shakin' Bacon segment, and this is where we're just going to talk about all the pop culture stuff that's been shared. Not everything from the group, but most of the stuff that we thought was like pretty interesting and that people were commenting on. As always, we like to start things off with a really happy note and talk about people that have died.
Aww, we're happy to remember them and all the greatness they brought us.
Well, and there have been quite a few celebrity deaths lately, unfortunately. This is just what happens as we get older. But we're not going to delve into all of that.
There's way too many.
This episode would be just totally Debbie Downer then.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about one that got a lot of attention in the group. There was a lot of people posting little tributes, and that was the passing of actor George Wendt. Yeah, he passed several weeks back. He did several things in Hollywood, but the thing that everybody will always know him for
Norm
was his role as Norm. Hey, Norm on Cheers. Yeah. And of course, then we also, I have to mention it because I would say probably the second most remembered thing was when he would appear on SNL and do the whole Chicago Bears fan thing with the Bears. And
once again, we're coming to you from Dicka's Restaurant in the heart of Chicago, the city of the big shoulders, home to a certain team that is known as the Bears. The Bears.
I always think of him with that. But yeah, he passed away. He was 77. He wasn't that old. By today's standards, yeah, that is not that old, but
By our standards, we're not far.
Yeah, well,
We're far enough, but we're not far.
Far enough, but not all that far behind there. So, anyway, yeah, I'm a Cheers fan. I know you're a Cheers fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely disappointing when we see anybody from the Cheers family go like that. So, Mr. Wendt, we salute you. Thank you for all the great laughs because he was really funny.
Yes.
But all right, so moving on, we're going to get into some of the news that has been happening out there. You may or may not know this, but we are comic book superhero nerds over here at Geeking Squad group and on the Geeking Poetic channel in general. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was that they announced that the original Spider-Man trilogy, so we're talking about the Sam Raimi films from the early 2000s with Tobey Maguire, those are going to return to the theaters this year. Yeah, they're going to bring them all back to the theater. Now, did you see any of those movies in the theater?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I saw all of them in the theater multiple times. Well, Spider-Man 3, I saw once, and that was
that was enough.
That was enough for me. I would consider going to see that one again, but out of the three, I think most people agree that is definitely the least good one. The one that a lot of people seem to agree is probably the best overall film is the second movie, the one with Dr. Octopus. And that one is particularly cool in this instance because they are going to release the 2.1 extended cut.
Oh.
First theatrical release ever. So that's going to be really cool. Nobody's ever seen the full extended version of it in the movie theaters. So I'm going to try to go and see this. It looks like Spider-Man is going to be aired on September 26th and October 3rd. Spider-Man 2.1 on September 27th and October 4th. And Spider-Man 3 is September 28th and October 5th. So that's kind of cool. I'm glad they're not just doing it on one weekend because they always mess us up when they do that.
I know. I really wish they offered more dates with these things.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they don't. Why do you think that is? Because I feel like these things obviously do fairly well because
they keep doing them.
Right, exactly. They keep putting old movies back in the theater and it's become like a real thing now. So I don't understand why there's got to be some sort of contractual thing. It's got to be some rights issue or something that they're like, we can't just release this. Yet I wonder if it has anything to do with streaming. Because a lot of these movies are out on streaming. And so, the streaming service and whatever, Sony or whatever, have to strike a deal together, or Disney or whomever owns it now. They have to strike a deal with, okay, we get exclusive streaming rights for these movies. We pay X amount of money. So it might have something to do with that, where they're like, well, we can't exactly go and put this out for like 2 weeks straight because then it interferes with the streaming deal or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but at least put it out like a Saturday for a month.
Yeah.
Every Saturday for a month. That doesn't have to be straight on because I don't think they'll get enough viewership for that.
Right.
But at least offer it a couple of times instead of just once, and that's it. That's your only chance.
Well, that's
what's nice about this. At least there are 2 times.
Yes, exactly.
You could see it, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're doing it right here. I like that, and they're separating it by like a week or so. So I'm really hoping that I can get out and see at least one of them. I would like to see 2.1, obviously, because it's the extended cut, but it would be cool and nostalgic to go see any of them. Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. Let us know in the comments if you're listening to this. Let us know if this is something you're going to go see because we'd love to hear more feedback on that. And it's something we've talked about a lot in the past are these reissues, to the theaters. And we've gone to see a few over the years. So yeah, I'd love to know how you guys feel about it out there. And what other movies would you like to see them do this for? Because we've tried thinking about that over time. It's like, what other movies would we be like really excited to go see? Like one I know you and I would probably really want to see would be something like Grease. Like
Grease would be good.
Yeah, Grease would be a lot of fun in the theater to go see that.
I was just thinking The Mummy. I never saw that one in the theater.
That would be great in the theater. I saw that in the theater.
Did you? Ugh.
Yeah, it was, and it's made for that.
Right.
It's such a big bombastic movie. Like, yeah, no, that would be really cool. Oh, that would be great if we went and saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway,
that's our votes. What's yours?
Yeah. Let us know what you think. So anyway, all right. Keeping on with the superhero theme, but going to TV. So one of the things that I actually was pretty enthusiastic about, I think I recommended it an episode or two ago, was the new season of Daredevil that was on Disney Plus. They revived the Netflix series, pretty much just did almost like a straight up sequel to that series. And of course, incorporated some of the things that have happened since then, because now it's part of the MCU. Daredevil, that first season they did, Born Again, or whatever they called it for Disney Plus here, it is not perfect. There are things that I definitely was unhappy about. Overall, I thought it was a big step in the right direction for them, especially with a lot of the things that have gone on lately with the MCU. So I really enjoyed it, but the one thing that a lot of people were questioning was, well, there were all these other characters that were pretty important to the Daredevil story and Daredevil's world that they didn't bring back yet, and are they going to bring them back? And one of them that was outstanding, everybody was wondering, was whether Jessica Jones, the character of Jessica Jones, was going to come back. Kristen Ritter herself even went on some show or some podcast or whatever and was like, yeah, I'd be down to play Jessica Jones again. Nobody's asked me. So, of course, people were like, oh, come on. You can do so much
There's
cool
your opening,
stuff.
guys.
Well, from what I understand, they have now confirmed that she will be returning as Jessica Jones for season 2.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think that's great. There's a lot of things I could get into here that I took issue with the first season, but I don't think that any of that was stuff that made this beyond saving. There was nothing there that they couldn't possibly fix depending on where they go and what direction they choose with the next season. Just as long as they don't wait 3 freaking years for the next season to come out.
Yeah, that's a big issue with them. Is it takes so long to get the next season that we forget about it.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Remember Ahsoka? Remember that show? That was like 500 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, are we ever going to get season 2?
Yeah, Mandalorian. Remember that big show? Yeah,
barely.
What's going on with that? Like so many of these, Loki, all these shows. Yeah, they've got to speed it up. I would be happy to sacrifice some of the special effects and all that to get just like a really good story that comes a little sooner. Yeah. But I don't know. That's just me. Again, let us know in the comments what you think about that. But yeah, so I thought that was like pretty cool news. One other thing, this isn't actually news per se, but it was something that I saw and I was like, oh, that's just too cool. I had to share it in the group. So a channel posted online this cool montage of clips from the MCU, specifically mostly from the Avengers movies, of Hawkeye, Clint Barton. And they took scenes where they very nicely, it looks really good, they digitally enhanced and created Hawkeye's actual mask and helmet to look what they would assume. It doesn't look exactly like it does in the comic books, but they did it like how they interpreted it would look had they done it for the MCU.
Oh, okay.
And they included it on there. It looks really good. I mean, like they could do this. Like they could re-release these movies and put that on there. And if they did it even better than this, like I don't think people would complain personally. Okay. So I have the question for you. Obviously, I have the question for you at home. Does it matter to you that Hawkeye does or doesn't have the mask? Now, I'm going to jump ahead here. I'm going to assume you're going to be like, no, it doesn't matter to me because you're not a Hawkeye comic book fan.
Exactly. To hear he had a mask was interesting.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know he ever had a mask.
Oh, so. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
To see him with the mask is weird.
Right.
I was like, ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean, here's the thing. I feel like, and I saw other people making comments about this too, so I can't pretend that I just came up with this on my own, but it is something that I have thought in the past. I feel like because he is super extraordinarily skilled,
Right,
but he
he's
doesn't
not superhuman.
Yeah, he doesn't have superpowers.
Right.
And because they also chose to not give him any kind of really particular, he kind of has a costume, I guess, a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's got something of a standard costume that he wears in the movies. But because he doesn't have a mask and he doesn't really have a persona, he's just kind of a dude. Mm-hmm. I feel like that worked against him personally. I feel like there's a reason why
He's
Hawkeye
not as big as the others.
is not, yes, why he was always like B tier compared to even guys, even I would say that even other characters like Winter Soldier, like Falcon, like those guys had costumes, they had more going on with them. And I feel like that sort of contributed to their whole like aura and style, and especially for kids, mm-hmm. I just feel like they sort of cheaped out. Now, here's the thing. I know a lot of the ladies out there are going to say, oh no, we're fine with him not having a mask because we like his face and we want to be able to see it. And I get that. That's fine. But you could say the same thing about Chris Evans or, some of the other characters. Like, people like to be able to see Chris Evans' face. There's a lot of women that like him, but they did a good job of having it mixed
Balancing.
up. Yes, exactly. I feel like it would make sense for him to have some sort of helmet thing. He should have some sort of protection on his head when he's out there. And here's another thing. What ends up happening to him in the movies and in the show? We find out that he's almost deaf because of being around these explosions and all this stuff all the time, and he loses his hearing. Well, if he was wearing some kind of cool mask helmet thing that protected his ears, then he might not have lost his damn hearing. So what's the lesson here? Give a superhero a goddamn helmet.
Stick to the comics.
Yeah. I mean, did it bother me? Like, did it totally ruin it for me that he didn't have this mask and helmet? No, I thought he was great. I loved Jeremy Renner in the role. I've got no complaints. But now seeing it and seeing what they could do with it and could have done with it, I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. That could have made him just that much cooler. And again, especially from like kids' standpoint, I mean, I think you'd have more kids that would have been like, I want to look like Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
It looks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if Batman was running around with Bruce Wayne with no cowl on, no mask, but he had the rest of the costume. No, man, I'm sorry. It's not as cool. Yeah. It's not the same.
All right. I'm with you.
So anyway, I'd love to hear what people out there think about that, But anyway, moving on from there, Meg, there's something that got announced that you were particularly excited about.
I really, really was. I'm a CBS girl.
You are such a CBS
I
girl.
really am. It's a problem.
Yeah.
But they just announced that Ghost, the TV show Ghost, is not only getting one renewal season, but 2 renewal seasons.
Yeah.
And I understand that is not quite done. That is not the norm.
No, I can't
at all.
I can't really think of the last time I heard of them doing that, because usually even with big things like Star Wars series or, when they had things like Sons of Anarchy or Walking Dead or whatever, I don't recall ever hearing them be like, oh yeah, we're absolutely confirming that the next 2 seasons are a lock. Like, we're going to do that.
Right. Because who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
But I guess the viewership is so strong.
Yeah.
That says something. That's impressive. So we will definitely be getting a season 4 and a season 5.
Yeah.
And I'm super stoked. I can't wait to see more Ghost introduced. I hope Jay gets to see them again at some point.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing this past season.
Yeah,
Spoilers,
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I want to see more of their backstories and how they got to where they are, and
Well, they were already saying that there's been like little rumors or whatever that there's going to be a bunch more ghosts that are going to be introduced. And
they introduced quite a bit this year. So, yeah, I love it. I want more. I can't wait.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good news. Well, then speaking of some other big news about carrying on with something, this isn't about new seasons. This is about a movie. But it is about a sequel that I don't know how many people at this stage of the game ever really thought we were going to get a sequel to this movie.
No.
Because this movie came out a long time ago. What would it have been? 1990? 89? I forget. No, maybe late 80s?
Yeah. I was going to say 80s.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Well, they are just now telling us that we are going to get a sequel for this movie in 2027. It's quite a while.
Yeah.
And the movie is Spaceballs.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, you've seen Spaceballs, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but good Lord. I don't know if we're ready for this.
Oh, I think people are more than ready for this. Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, the old Mel Brooks movie, Spaceballs. And what's cool about it is that they are getting some of the original cast back. I mean, they've already confirmed that some people, well, the big confirmation is the fact that they're getting Rick Moranis back. I mean, there is no Spaceballs without Rick Moranis.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, he's got to be, Dark Helmet has to be there. So, but the big deal about that is the fact that Rick Moranis, if I'm understanding correctly, I think he basically was not been a part of Hollywood for a while.
Yeah, long like 20 years or something like that. I think he went away to raise a family and
Yeah. I think he walked away from Hollywood entirely because he didn't have anything to do with any of like the Ghostbusters sequels, right? I don't know.
Nope.
So that's a big deal to get him back on board for this. But I mean, yeah, it can't happen without him.
No.
So I'm glad that they've got him on board, and they got Bill Pullman. Coming back. Yeah, he's going to be coming back as Lone Star, the Han Solo kind of pseudo character and everything. So that's a really, really good start. They said that Josh Greenbaum is going to direct the sequel, and the script is written by Benji Samit, Dan Hernandez, and Josh Gad. And it's going to arrive on the 40th anniversary of the original film. So, oh gosh, okay, so 40th anniversary, so that means it would have been 1987.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's even older than I realized. I am so old. Holy cow.
Wow.
Because I remember like watching that, you know, and it's like I was in high school, but gosh, okay. Oh man, but anyway, yeah, so is anybody out there excited to see the new Spaceballs movie? Because something tells me that I think y'all are.
Yeah, hopefully we get to go see that one in theaters too.
Yeah, that would be cool. Speaking of anniversaries, we're just talking
and
about
feeling old.
Oh boy, yeah. So this month, just recently, last few days actually, from when we're recording this, we've had 2 big movie anniversaries that people have been posting about a lot. And there've been like cool new merchandise coming out, of course, to promote it because they got to capitalize on any kind of opportunity they can.
Gen X stuff's hot right now.
Yeah,
why not?
cash in on it. Yeah. But those 2 anniversaries, so one of them is The Goonies, just turned 40 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Again, talk about making me feel old.
Yeah.
I went and saw that in the theater when it came out. I saw it. I remember sitting there by myself in the theater in River Oaks in Calumet City, not really knowing anything about the movie. I just went to see it. My parents dropped me off at the theater and like, here, go see it. I was like, okay. So I went and saw this movie, and oh my God, did I love this movie. Well, I was the perfect age for it because I was a young teenage kid, you know, so I was just like, oh my God, I'm all about this movie. I couldn't stop thinking about it afterwards. The soundtrack was great. You know, it was fantastic. I still love that movie. But yeah, it's 40 years old, folks. Oh, 1985.
That's when we need a second sequel.
Well, they've been
rumoring it forever, so let's do it.
They've been trying to get that going for ages, but you know, I think Spielberg is just, he's so, you know, Spielberg is a smart man. Unlike a lot of other people in Hollywood, Spielberg is, not to say he hasn't had his, you know, slip ups, but Spielberg is the kind of guy that he knows when something is good and when something should be left golden, you know? And I think his thing is like, yeah, I'm down. I'm interested to do it if we can ever find the right script and the right situation and everything, because otherwise it just is
we're not doing it just to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to have a bunch of fat old Goonies on screen, you know, that are just making a mockery out of something that is so beloved, because he knows how beloved it is. And I think Goonies means a lot to Steven. Like he's always spoken very fondly of that movie, that he's like, yeah, that's one. I don't think he necessarily expected that movie to become the iconic thing that it's become. And so I think he puts it on a pedestal where he's like, we're not going to mess with this unless it's really right. Because he's seen too many other people and franchises do that. Right. And, you know, but anyway, so that one's 40. And then this one really makes me feel old because I was alive when this movie came out. I was pretty young, but boy, do I remember the whole craze for this. Jaws just turned 50 years old. And people still talk about Jaws all the time. All the time. Everybody knows Jaws. Everybody. I mean, I think there are even like little kids that at least, maybe if they haven't even seen the movie, they've heard of it. They know the reference. They know Jaws is a shark. They know they know dun, 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 right. dun. You know, they know that kind of thing.
Is it still a ride at Universal Studios, I think?
I'm not sure.
Or is that taken out? Like, somebody tell us.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I haven't been there. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there was the whole gag about Jaws popping out of the water, and that was when what's his name was not Brody, the other character was gonna propose in Mallrats. Kevin Smith made a whole gag about that. But yeah, it's crazy to think that not only that Jaws is so old, but that Jaws is still so freaking popular,
alive and kicking.
Yeah, it's really up there, man. It may not quite be like Star Wars, but it's pretty close, man. So yeah, happy anniversary to Jaws and to Goonies. Thanks for all the entertainment, and thanks for making me feel so freaking old.
Oh, our back hurts.
Yeah, it sure does. All right, moving on real quick. We're going to get into some science-y news. There's some really cool science stuff going on. We don't get an opportunity, I feel like, to talk about science stuff as much as we would like to, like we used to.
Right. Yeah. And it's not very often.
No, there just hasn't been all that much that's been that interesting to like get into like we have in the past. There haven't been any Area 51 Naruto runs lately.
Good Lord.
Remember we talked about that a few years ago. There was always something goofy going on. Lately, it's kind of been not so much. But one thing that I thought was really interesting, because I've always been fascinated with the solar system, with planets and possible other life on planets, all that sort of thing. Well, one thing is that scientists claim that they have officially located a 9th planet in our solar system. And we're not talking about poor Pluto, because as we all know,
he will always be a planet.
Yeah.
I don't care.
He's always going to be my 9th planet.
Right.
We're
talking about the 10th planet.
Yeah. Where nobody puts my Pluto in a corner. Yeah, exactly. So, but unfortunately, they've demoted it to just being whatever it is now. I don't know what they consider Pluto, but yeah.
Like the Sears Tower will never be the Willis Tower. It's still.
Well, now I think it's called something else, isn't it?
Really?
Or they're going to call it something else. I don't even know anymore. It's like as many times as they've changed the name of the venue in Tinley Park, right? or the field where the Chicago White Sox play. It just keeps, guaranteed rate field or whatever it is now. I don't know.
Yep.
But in any case, whether you consider it Planet 9 or Planet 10, they believe that they have found this planet. Now, they say they've spotted a strange object that were found in 2 old infrared sky surveys. And it could be the strongest sign they've had yet that this is, in fact, an actual planet.
Yeah, so the idea that this is Planet 9 first came up way back in 2016.
And I kind of remember hearing about that,
Do
actually.
You?
Yeah, I think we might have even talked about that at one point. Maybe not on the show, but just talking about it, like with Vito and stuff back in the old days. I kind of remember that.
Probably. They notice these weird orbital patterns and icy objects, and it's like way beyond what, Neptune?
Yeah, Neptune.
Like
Neptune is technically now the
furthest one.
Yeah, it's
so it's
way
past
it
Pluto
goes,
and Neptune.
It goes totally as far as you can past Uranus. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself, but it is true because Neptune and Uranus are way out there. So yeah, they're saying it's really far out there. The other thing that I thought was interesting was they're saying, from what they can tell, it's amazing they can tell this stuff, by looking at these little things on infrared
specks.
Yeah, but they think that this thing might be 10 times the mass of Earth.
Holy smokes.
That's pretty big. So I don't know how that... So what would like Jupiter be? Because Jupiter is much larger than Earth too, but is it 10 times?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I need to know.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. That's huge.
Yeah, that is quite big.
That bitch is huge.
That's a huge bitch.
Anyway, it says in here that a team at one of the universities out there found this data from these old telescope infrared readouts that they got, and it looks like it moved just enough over time to suggest that it is orbiting the sun.
Oh, okay.
And based on how bright it's showing up in the infrared scans of it, they think that it could be much more massive than Neptune. And it might take thousands of years to complete a single orbit.
Wow.
That's kind of like how long...
Way out there.
It's kind of almost like how long it takes me to get anything accomplished. It's like me trying to orbit around the sun. It takes thousands of years. Yeah, I have to admit it takes me a long time now. But anyway, this hasn't been confirmed. It's all just still like speculative. But they're saying that they think that this is like the first time they've had this concrete of a possibility that it's out there, because they've talked for years about whether or not there could be other ones farther out there that we couldn't see. So this is supposed to be like the most solid evidence that this could be. So that's
so crazy for us to still be finding planets in our own system.
I think that's exactly, and it just goes to show. I think there's so many things that are probably practically right on our doorstep, so to speak, that we are not aware of, because it's just how big and vast everything is.
Speck of dust.
I know, in the grand scheme of things, exactly. That is exactly true. And lastly, staying on the scientific tip here, we're going to talk about good old CERN. Oh, the scientists at CERN and their big, Large Hadron Collider. They have successfully, they claim, ABC News reported this, so this is supposed to be true, I don't know, that they claim that they have figured out how to turn lead into gold atoms. Apparently, they say that they have achieved the ancient alchemist dream through modern physics by transforming lead into gold atoms. They use this giant particle accelerator, and it smashes the atoms together at super high speeds. And they found a way to knock 3 tiny particles called protons, we know protons, of course, out of lead atoms that turns them into gold atoms. And instead of crashing these lead atoms head on, the team behind all of this discovered that when they just barely miss each other or whatever, they're able to make this happen. I don't know. I don't understand all this. I don't have a giant particle collider in my backyard, but thank goodness. But I mean, here's the thing about this, and this is there's not much we can really say about this, but here's my question. So, it's an interesting thing because they're just like, how can we make more gold? Like, if we could make gold out of lead and all this and figure out a way to just create gold rather than having to dig it up out of the ground. My question then is, well, but then doesn't that essentially make gold not so valuable?
Right.
Because
that's why it's like, to what end though? Why are we doing this?
Right.
And this had to cost like millions of dollars to get this done.
Yeah, at least.
I was like, why not do it in some kind of resource that we need more of, that's a finite resource?
Right. Because, I mean, the problem is if we make it's like, well, we need more gold. I'm like, yeah, but if we just can make more gold and make more gold, it's just like the same reason you can't go out and just keep printing money nonstop, right? Because then it makes the money less valuable. So, yeah, I don't really understand.
Like make us oil or.
Right.
Or,
well, they don't want to lower the value of that either.
I was going to say they'd lower that value, but
we could certainly use it. I mean, there's just all kinds of things. Well, and I mean, there's nothing to say that they aren't going out and trying to do all this other stuff too. But this is just one particular thing. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think it's interesting. I think that if this is something where they're like, well, doing this then helps to prove that we might be able to do this, this, and this to help create other precious minerals that we need more of and stuff, then I get it. But yeah, I don't know. If you just make a bunch of fake gold, then that's all you got is a bunch of fake gold.
Right. It's just fool's gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some of that. We don't do that.
Right.
I buy it every time I go to a cave.
Then it doesn't really make the gold worth so much anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So
interesting. But yeah, I'm with you. It's interesting, but I don't see the point.
Yeah, I don't see the point either. But
who's smarter than us that could tell us what the heck the point is?
I don't know, but we'll see what they come up with. Maybe there will be a point.
Time will tell.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Squad Talk. All right, we are back, and it is time for a little bit of that old smooth squad talk. I don't know how smooth it is, but
yeah.
That smooth, refreshing drink. Get a little sip of squad talk in you. I'm trying to think of like
disturbing.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to think of like old commercial kind of slogan things, and I'm just failing bad at that.
Failing miserably.
Wow, geez. Thanks for the support, old pal, old partner. Anyway, this is the Squad Talk segment. In this segment, we like to highlight specific things that aren't necessarily news, but are just things that have been shared a bunch and commented and participated on a bunch by all of the great folks over at the Geeking Squad group on Facebook. And one thing we love to do in that group is we love to talk about and debate about and argue about the choose memes.
Yes.
Now, if you don't know what I mean when I say choose memes, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have seen these before in your social media feeds. It's where there'll be some sort of collage. It could just be 2 pictures. It could be 3. It could be 5. It could be 20, where they ask you to choose. You got, things like, here's 10 movies from the 1980s. You can only pick 2. Mm-hmm. Or here's 5 different snack foods. One of them's got to go. That sort of thing. We love talking about this stuff in the group. It's just kind of fun. One thing that got shared from childhood that we were very excited to talk about was the Good Humor ice cream truck. Now, I'm sure many of you out there, if you didn't have good humor, you probably had something comparable. I mean, most of us, especially at least here in North America, we grew up with ice cream trucks. They're still around. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the ice cream trucks.
Yeah, I get excited when I'm staying at your guys' house and I hear it come by.
Yeah, they do come by.
It's
they
really
don't
nice.
They don't really come around here too much,
nope,
do they?
I've never seen one over here.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. But over by where I'm at in Chicago, oh man, yeah, the ice cream trucks are out almost every day, and they're funny because like it could literally just barely be starting to get warm out. Like it could be like 51 degrees and like partly sunny in late March, and all of a sudden, You hear that truck coming. They can't wait to get out on the street and be like, buy our freaking ice cream, please. And, but they still do have good ice cream. Jess and I got some of it a little while ago.
Yeah,
and
you were saying.
It was really good. Yeah, it was really good.
Fancy
and
stuff?
it was a good deal. Yeah. So, what we grew up with wasn't as fancy as what I got the other day, but I still love what I used to get from the Good Humor truck. And what they did was they posted a picture. This looks like what used to be posted on the side of the truck. Yeah. And each item would have like a price and a number attached to it. So you could just tell the Good Humor guy, you could be like, I want a number 6, and be like, all right, $1.50 or whatever it was. And this picture, man, they've got so many things on here. They've got all the different like character heads that were made into ice cream. There's ice cream sandwiches. There's the firecracker, red, white, and blue pop guys. There's I don't even know. What is that? A Magnum. There's a Sun-Kissed bar. Ooh, that actually sounds really good now. Fudge Sickles, Dream Sickles, the classic Good Humor bars that have like the ones that have like the toasted coconut on the outside, or some that have like dark chocolate in the middle and they've got dark chocolate chips on the outside. So the whole theme of this meme is the Good Humor ice cream truck pulls up. You can only get one.
Jeez, you sound like a parent.
I know. Well, that's the idea, because we all lived through this.
Yeah, I was like, I want them all.
I don't even know. Well, I do. I know, because I've pondered this for a while, and I know what I would have to get. And what I would have to get is not even necessarily because it is the most delicious ice cream, although it is good. Every ice cream on here is good. There's nothing on here that I'm like, oh, screw that. I would never eat that. Every single thing on here is really good because I'm a fat guy and I like ice cream. But I know what I have to go with because of just pure nostalgia. How about you? Before I say it, what about you? Have you?
I think I've narrowed it down between 2.
Okay, that's fine. Well, for me, if I have to only choose one, I have to go with number 15. And that number 15 is Fat Frog. I loved Fat Frog. I remember there was a commercial. They used to have commercials for these ice creams. And I remember the Fat Frog commercial from when I was a kid. I can still sing that whole jingle. I'm not going to sing it.
Oh, come on.
No, maybe I'll insert.
What a teaser.
Yeah, I'm going to insert the commercial right here.
Fat Frog, croak, croak. Good humor, Fat Frog.
I got chocolate candy for my eyes and a big green tummy for a yummy surprise.
Good humor, Fat Frog.
With the chocolate flavored back for extra fun, it's like ice cream and candy all in one.
Fat Frog.
Good humor, Fat Frog.
Yep. Good humor, Fat Frog. Fat Frog. Yeah, that goes through my head so much. I'm embarrassed to tell you how much the Fat Frog jingle 40 plus years later still goes through my head. I would have to get that because you can't get it anymore. At least I don't think you can. If they had that, if the Good Humor ice cream truck pulled up right now, if we heard it right outside your door and we ran out there like 2 stupid ass kids pushing each other out of the way to be the first one to get to that truck, I would have to get the Fat Frog. But they've got other good ones. I like that little cowboy head guy. I like that Snoopy head guy. That's pretty cute. I do feel bad for eating their heads though.
Yeah, right?
I do feel bad because I want to sit there and just look at it and it makes me smile. And then I'm just.
And it melts and gets all creepy looking
like
Indiana Jones.
Well, that's why you have to eat it before that. So you put it out of its misery. But if I had a second choice, since you're talking about doing a second choice.
Now I'm up to 3 because you talk so long.
Oh, no. Oh, man. You know this abuse I got to deal with? I would probably have to go with I'd go with the number 8. So I'd have to go with one of those classic Good Humor bars on the stick that have like I said, I liked the one that was like, what was it? Like coconut and almond or something like that. I forget which one that is, but I always really liked that one. So that's a good one. That chocolate chip cookie sandwich one looks really good too. Oh man. All right, we got to move.
Ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah, now I want ice cream really
See?
bad. It's so hot out. It's perfect for ice cream. Oh. All right, we got to move on. So you got to pick yours. Tell me what yours are.
So I love my ice cream sandwiches. You know that.
Yes.
But I don't typically get those like at an ice cream truck.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I knocked that one out.
Well, see, and that's my thought too, is because when the ice cream truck comes, it's special. You don't necessarily want to get something that is in your freezer already. Like a lot of times when I was a kid, one of the main things I would end up getting, usually because it was whoever was getting it for me, whether it was my mom or my aunt or somebody that was babysitting me, they would get me the most simple and the cheapest thing, which was usually the push-up. Mm-hmm. And now I loved push-ups. Mm-hmm. I loved them. But I did always feel a little bit ripped off when I would get the push-up because I often had them in the freezer already. You know, and so I was just like, oh, well, you know, but I want Fat Frog, you know, like we didn't have Fat Frog in the freezer.
Right.
That sort of thing. So valid. Okay. So maybe ice cream sandwich, maybe.
Yeah. And then, it's funny you mentioned that, I went to the push pop.
Oh, okay.
Was actually the third one I was looking at there.
Nice.
Because nothing's better than eating ice cream out of a toilet paper roll.
A waxy one at that.
But I love those things as a kid.
Yeah, I did too.
So that was, but I think you're right. I think I have to knock that out too, because I think I did just have them in my freezer.
Right, exactly.
So then I remember next to my mom's work, it wasn't an ice cream truck, it was a snow cone truck.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go over there after school while I was waiting on my mom, and I'd get me a freaking snow cone. Oh, so that's my runner-up right there.
Snow cone.
Because I remember doing that so frequently.
Gotta get snow cone. Which kind of snow cone did you get? Did you get a grape snow cone or did you get a cherry snow cone? Because they're both good.
You mixed them.
Oh, wow. You're taking this to the next level now.
Right. I want it all. Because it was like you got the snow, and then you can put your own pumps in it.
Oh, see. Oh, wow. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I still to this day freaking love a snow cone.
Oh,
man.
yeah. Hell yeah.
On a really hot day, those things are fantabulous. Okay.
Yeah, that's why you love frozen margaritas and all that so much.
The adult snow cones.
Pina coladas, right?
Right on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
You know, Jess is going to be at home right now being like, girl, we got to get us some. We got to get us
I have some in my freezer, girl. Get your butt over here.
Right. But here's the thing. Here's why I didn't go snow cone, because as much as I love snow cones, I don't associate them with the ice cream truck. I didn't get mine from the ice cream truck. I got my snow cone, Brian Regan style, just like he talks about in his comedy. I got mine from the baseball field. When I played baseball as a kid, that was like the big treat, was like after the game, you go get a snow cone.
Mm-hmm. Free snow cone! Free snow cone at the end of the game. How many outs, Brian? Grape! I'm going to get grape or cherry. So either one is good. If they have both, I'll get grape, though, because that's a little more favorite. But if they don't have grape, it's like, oh, that's fine, because cherry's favorite anyway, you know? So it's like another favorite, but not as much. But they're both good. They're both good.
And yeah, that's why when he would tell that joke, I just loved it, because I'm like, oh my God, I can relate to that, because that's exactly what we did. I would go over to that concession booth. I would get me a snow cone. I might get me like some Big League Chew. And I would get me a pack or two of Topps Wacky Packages stickers. If I got that, and especially if we like won the game or we just didn't get beat
perfect night, right?
Terribly bad, you know, that was a perfect night. So your number one is what then? Are you going with the ice cream sandwich? Because that seems kind of generic.
No, I have to go. I think my number one thing I would get from an ice cream truck, when very few times I got it, was that red, white, and blue bomb.
The bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the firecracker guy.
Yep.
Oh, that's one of my favorites too. Yep. I have a box of those at home right now.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, I love those things.
Yeah, it's something we never got for the house, so it was very exciting.
Gotcha.
For me to get that.
Yeah, I didn't have those in my freezer as a kid. I don't know if they were available to have at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. No, now you can get them, and now just like in those pouches, you can get those alcoholic version too.
Ooh, can you?
Oh yeah. Have you not had that yet?
No.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, we're going to have to
What's
stock
happening now?
Yeah, we're going to have to stock
Holiday
up.
weekend's coming up.
Stock up on those. Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Well, moving on. So the next one, it was another one of the choose memes. We'll be a little quicker with these next ones. Sorry, folks. I got real excited about ice cream truck stuff. But this next one, going back to the 80s again, it was, who's your favorite 80s movie dad? So we've got Sylvester Stallone from from Over the Top, the arm wrestling movie. We've got Indiana Jones' dad. We've got Sean Connery as the senior Jones. We have James Earl Jones as the king from Coming to America. We have Darth Vader from Empire Strikes Back. We have George McFly from Back to the Future. We have Clark from National Lampoon Vacation movies. We've got Rodney Dangerfield from Back to School. We've got the dad from Teen Wolf. And then lastly, we have John Candy. And I think, which John Candy? What is that, from The Great Outdoors?
I think so.
Yeah, from The Great Outdoors. Okay. So we've got 9 to choose from here. Meg, I'm making you go first.
All right. Well, I got it again narrowed down to 2.
Oh, okay, 2. That's not bad.
Originally I said 3, but he's not a very good dad, so.
Okay.
And it's Clark from the Griswolds.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's whatever, kids. Doesn't pay attention to them, so.
Yeah.
But he makes me laugh. I'm down to The Great Outdoors.
Okay.
He's such a family man. He's just works so hard to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And it all backfires.
Right.
And Sean Connery. I mean, it's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I don't know. He was a jerk.
He was kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
And I want to pick him because it was Indiana Jones. And that was my initial pick.
Right.
Until you just ran through all of these. And I changed my mind. And I'm going with The Great Outdoors.
Okay. That's a cool pick.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this is tough for me because as I'm looking at all these dads, I'm like, I don't know. I'm so inclined to go with Darth Vader.
Really?
Yeah.
He was kind of a jerk too.
Well, he's Darth Vader. I mean, he murdered bazillions of people and stuff, Anakin is a problem, I don't know. I love the journey that Darth Vader goes on. He's one of the most interesting characters of all time, in my opinion. I love Darth Vader. Even when I was a kid, I loved Darth Vader, and I'm not somebody who normally loves the villains. Everybody loves the villains, and I always liked Luke. I always liked Han. I always liked the good guys. Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars universe character. So, I like the good guys. But I'm going with Darth Vader. I don't care.
All right.
I don't care. Yeah, I like Darth Vader quite a bit.
All right. Controversial choice.
Yeah, it is. All right, moving on to the next one. We go from the best 80s dad to the biggest 80s douche. And that's not my terminology. This is what it says.
Yep.
It says, who was the biggest 80s film douche? So we're talking about just like the jerky character, the villain, some of these guys aren't necessarily villains, but they were the jerk in these movies. So we're talking about Ace from Stand By Me. So that is obviously Kiefer Sutherland. We're talking about Biff from Back to the Future. We're talking about Chet from Weird Science. We're talking about Steph from Pretty in Pink. Stan from Revenge of the Nerds. Walter Peck in Ghostbusters. Johnny in Karate Kid. And Principal Vernon in The Breakfast Club. I gotta tell you, this is hard. Because I actually really like a lot of these characters. I mean... Every one of these is so well done. There's not one of them where I'm like, that movie or that character or that actor was not so great. Every one of these is awesome. I'm going to go with Chet from Weird Science.
Okay.
Just the best. Like the best, the most entertaining, supreme, douchey character. Bill Paxton played him so incredibly in that role. I can quote it. Me and my buddies have quoted him ever since that movie came out. That's my choice. Chet from Weird Science. He's the best, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people chose him in the squad as well.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think he was number one choice for everybody.
Yeah, he's great, man. It's just so well done.
I think I'm going to go with Walter from Ghostbusters because I love watching them roast him the entire movie.
It's true.
And watching him take it and his expressions.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I'm going to go with him.
He's such a snot.
Because I love watching. Yeah, exactly.
Such a snot, and literally put like the entire city in peril because he was such a little know-it-all snot.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
The power grid was shut off by Dickless here.
They caused an explosion.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Yeah, I have no arguments with you there. I think that's a very good choice. Technically, Ace and Stand By Me is probably the worst.
He's probably the psychopath of the group.
Yeah, he's the worst.
He's beyond douche.
Right, yeah, that's not just douche. That's like that guy needs to be put in jail.
Yeah.
The rest of them don't need to be put in jail. They just need to be humiliated.
Right.
So, all right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's a good one. All right. I think we might have saved, if this isn't the best, it's close to the best to last. This is really hard. So, a lot of times you've seen these memes where they do, which do you choose, the blue pill or the red pill, which is a total Matrix thing, right? Obviously. In this case, they have the pill representing two different groups of 80s cartoons. So the red pill, if you choose the red pill, that means you are choosing DuckTales, Brave Star, Gem and the Holograms, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, and lastly, the raccoons. Now, here's the thing about the raccoons. I definitely, looking at this list, there's a few of them on here that I'm going, wait a minute. I don't know that this was necessarily made by someone here in the States.
Yeah.
I think that this is meant to be more Canadian centric, or even like the UK. They shared a lot of the same programming and everything. But I have a feeling this is probably supposed to be more Canadian. But gotcha. I am familiar with the raccoons. I did not watch it back when it was on, but I do know about it. So that wraps up that one. The next one is the blue pill, which is Thundercats, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Inspector Gadget, Ulysses 31. Now, that's another one that I don't know that a lot of people here in the States are really that familiar with it. But again, abroad in other places like Canada and the UK and all that, they would know Ulysses 31. One we definitely all know is the Transformers. And lastly is another UK show, but I did grow up watching this. They did used to show this when I was a kid. Danger Mouse. I loved Danger Mouse. And again, it was a BBC show, that cartoon that I loved, but they did actually show it here in syndication back in the early mid 1980s. So the only ones on here I'm not that familiar with are Ulysses 31 and the Raccoons. So it kind of balances it out for me because in each group there's one that I don't know. Yeah, don't really know. Those out. Right. So, Meg, I'm putting it on you since I went first with the last round. Which would you choose? Would it be the red pill or the blue pill? Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what those two are, but I also don't know what Brave Star is. I've never heard of that. Brave Star? Brave Star was kind of like, it was like a sci-fi Western cartoon thing from like the early mid 80s. Yeah, it was cool. It was a good show. Okay. I liked Brave Star. Oh, I'm surprised you don't. I wonder if your brother would know that one. Yeah, he'll have to let us know. He might remember Brave Star. Maybe. But one of these most definitely have some of my favorites in it. Yeah, I already kind of know what it is. Where we're going here. And I gotta go red pill. Woohoo. Yeah, because I love my DuckTales. I still watch DuckTales all the time. Yeah. Gem I was watching the other day. Oh, Gem's great. I always liked Turtles. Yeah. Yep. G.I. Joe I always enjoyed watching as a kid. The other side, I feel that's more like, that was my brother's territory. Right. Well, I feel your brother probably liked the stuff over there. I'm sure he liked Turtles. I'm sure he liked G.I. Joe. Yeah. And everything. He might. The DuckTales. DuckTales. Right. Exactly. Yeah, this is, you might, now here, let me ask you a question. What do you think? And we'll give people at home a moment too. Which one do you think I'm going to choose?
I think you're going blue. For
right.
He-Man, Danger Mouse, Thundercats, Transformers.
Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget, yeah. If Inspector Gadget was the other side, I'd be happy. Like, take the raccoons out, put Inspector Gadget over my red pill.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you got to go blue pill.
I'm probably actually going to go red pill.
No shit.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Okay, so out of that list, so He-Man and Masters of the Universe, love it. That's definitely my favorite out of the batch over there. I did enjoy Inspector Gadget. I did used to like watching that. I tried watching that more recently, and it was kind of annoying to me. It was funny, but I was like, oh, this annoys me way more than I remember. Thundercats and Transformers. So here's the thing about those. I ended up kind of retroactively enjoying those more than I did back in the day. I was a little bit old by the time those shows really took off in like 84, 85. I was already sort of getting out of cartoons by that point because I was already going into my teen years. I like them. I like them quite a bit. Danger Mouse is entertaining. I like that. And Ulysses 31, I'm not familiar enough with it to really have a yay or nay on it. But here's the thing, like if I was going to sit down now, and that's kind of what I'm looking at, I'm like balancing it out between what I would think now and what I would think then. And I think that I would probably get more entertainment out of watching Red Pill now. I definitely would like to sit down and watch more like DuckTales. Like I feel like I'd appreciate that more nowadays than I did then. Because again, DuckTales was more your generation.
Yes.
That came by the time DuckTales came out, I was definitely not watching, Saturday morning cartoons or anything anymore. Brave Star, again, that's a show that I've kind of become more acquainted with later, and I think it's a cool show. Gem and the Holograms, I think that's a great show. I love that show. I think it's like super cool. I love the whole music theme. It's the most retro of all the shows. It's so 80s. Like out of everything on here, there is nothing more 80s than Gem and the Holograms.
Yeah, I loved all their outfits and their different color hair and their cool.
Yeah, right. Well, you guys have even talked about like dressing up like them for Halloween. So, so it's like something that I would probably be very interested in watching. Ninja Turtles, I watched that with my stepbrother and everything, and it's a great show. It's entertaining. G.I. Joe is probably what seals it for me here. Because, look, I loved He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Inspector Gadget was cool. Transformers, Thundercats, Danger Mouse, those are all watchable. Dig them. But I absolutely freaking loved the G.I. Joe cartoon. Loved it. I just ate it up, man. When they first came out with that mini series of it as a cartoon in 1983, oh my God, it was like my last all-in childhood love, you know what I mean? Before I got too old for some of this stuff for a while, and then I came right back to it later. As soon as I was like 17, 18 years old, I was like, okay, enough of trying to be cool. I'm back to being like a nerd and everything. But I just loved that G.I. Joe show so much that it really does tip the scales for me. If I could, just like what you said, if I could move the raccoons over and bring He-Man and the Masters Universe and have that as part of the Red Pill so I could get Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe, Gem, DuckTales. Oh man, yeah, that would easily win. But even as it goes, I think I'm going to go with the Red Pill. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know that surprises some people, but yeah, it's just the way it goes sometimes.
Not see that coming.
Yep.
What do you suggest?
All right, so this is the home stretch here. I know this has been a little bit long, but we only do this every so many weeks. So
every 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, deal with it, I guess. But So in the What Do You Suggest segment, we like to suggest to you something that we have either collectively or individually been really enjoying. And for me, this is something that I've been enjoying, and I know I think I've turned you on to it a little bit. I know you said you've been watching it, and we've been watching it at home, and I've even told people like Luke about it and stuff. Yeah, I've been trying to get people onto it. Now, it's not a new channel. It's a YouTube channel. It's not new per se, but it's new to me, and I feel like it's better now than the old shows were, because I've gone back and watched the old shows, and where they're at now and the stuff they've done just in the last several months is so far beyond. Yeah, I'm talking about the John Malecki channels. Now, for those that don't know, John Malecki is a woodworker, and he used to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He was an offensive lineman, and after he got out of the NFL, he decided he was going to find something else to do, and he liked working with his hands. He liked the whole idea of projects and creating stuff, and so he and a friend of his started this whole John Malecki workshop thing where they make really cool tables and cutting boards and anything that basically involves more intricate woodworking. And he uses cool like epoxy to make really cool gaming tables, where he made years back he made a Game of Thrones table that looked like the map with all the lava, or he'll do things where he makes a table that looks like a stream with fish in it, and that's all cool. But what's really hooked me has been his offshoot channel that he started doing more recently, called John Malecki Unscrewed. And that's the channel where they're not so much creating stuff as they are just doing a lot of ridiculous stuff. And a lot of it is actually really informative, but he'll do things like he'll go out and he'll spend $10,000 or something buying up pallets of tools that were returned to Home Depot. And then it's like, let's just watch me open up these pallets and see what I got and whether any of it is any good or whether it's garbage. And a lot of times he strikes out, man. And it's just so funny the way they do it. And the editing on the show, the guys that he has filming and editing, Joe does the filming, and then he's got his guys, like he's got Sam and Chris and all these other guys with him doing the unboxings, and they do challenges to each other. Even the other day, I just watched a video where they were doing like a gladiator ring style thing where they were hanging, I think it was grinders. They were hanging grinders from the rafters and turning them on and then like throwing them at each other to see which grinder was going to win. And they were doing it like, American Gladiator style. It was so ridiculous. But
I think I stayed up the other night watching the drill one.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I was like way up way later than I needed to be because I couldn't stop watching these drills fight. It was ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But a lot of times the stuff that he's doing is also informative because if you're into buying tools, if you're into any of that kind of stuff, he does help you to learn about like what's worth your money. Sometimes things that are cheap and you think might be worthless garbage ends up actually being like really good and reliable. And then other times things that you would spend hundreds of dollars on end up not being as good as you might have thought it was going to be. So there is an informative, educational aspect to it, but a lot of it is just silly. And these guys
being guys.
These are guys being guys, and it's really funny. And so, I definitely recommend it. If you're into tool stuff, if you're into home renovation things, any of that, if you're into just watching these like goofy, nerdy guys basically just, I don't know, ruin stuff sometimes, it's a really fun channel to watch. So John Malecki, and like I said, he's got his offshoot, John Malecki Unscrewed. I will put a link in the description here of this show if you want to go click on it and check it out. And if you enjoy it, let them know that we sent you. So we don't know them personally. We're just fans. So anyway, that's my suggestion. Megan, what is your suggestion?
So I think I want to go with a new channel.
Okay.
Or a new show, I should say.
Okay.
It's on an established channel that I already listened to on. I listen on YouTube.
Okay.
It's my Mr. Ballin that I always love.
You've
He's my Strange, Dark, and Mysterious. I've recommended him before.
Yes.
Now he's grown so huge. He's got a whole plethora of shows under his own branch.
Right.
So he's got a whole channel now. So he just started this new show, or brought on this new show, and it's not him narrating it. It's somebody else, which from the comments, he's been big in YouTube. It's very recognizable.
Oh, okay.
Voice, and I've never heard of him, so he's new to me.
Oh, I'll have to go check it out.
But he's a very good storyteller as well. But this one is called A Twist of History.
Okay.
So it takes stories from history and adds a little piece to it that you may not have known as a piece to it. They did one. It was the first murder story, true crime, but got everybody interested.
Okay, so the first
stories.
true crime podcast type thing or something, or show?
Not so much show, but the first thing that people so closely followed.
Okay.
Back in the 1800s.
Oh,
so this
going
is
way
podcasts
back.
and
Oh,
all
wow.
that, yeah.
Okay, it's really going back in history. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
way
gotcha.
back in history. So it's this is the first big thing that got people following them.
Okay.
Murder stories.
Right.
And gripped the nation after Jack the Ripper. The person investigating this also investigated Jack the Ripper.
I gotcha. Okay.
So he was a part of this thing. So it trek across the ocean into the Americas and then back over, and everybody was following what was going on.
Gotcha.
So it was that. There's one about the Civil War and the, General Lee and fighting Abraham Lincoln and all that. And it's these orders that were lost that were magically found.
Gotcha.
That's the twist that changed how that all went down.
So the whole thing is that it's just basically talking about historical things, but then adding in some little twists and details that maybe you didn't know.
Exactly.
That sounds cool.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so things like that. So I thought it was very interesting. I love history like that. So I think you should go check it out. Twist of History.
Okay. Yeah, we could put a link for that too in the description.
Yes.
And that's going to do it for us. Yeah, I mean, again, this has been quite a long stretch here, but it's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking about all this stuff. Again, come join us in the group on Facebook, Geeking Squad group, and then you can contribute not only your own comments, but maybe contribute articles and memes and all that stuff, and we'll talk about it here on the show.
Talk about next time.
And until then, yes, I'm not going to make any promises about when the next episode's coming out.
Be back when we be back.
We'll be back as soon as we can, folks. We'll see y'all then.
Bye, guys.